welcome to the Oxygen Addict Triathlon Podcast. We're brought to you every week by our sponsors, PrecisionHydration.com.
Leaders in triathlete sweat testing and hydration with multi-strength electrolytes that match how you sweat. You can get 20% off with the code OxygenAddict20 until midnight on Christmas Eve.
And Team Oxygen Addict at team.oxygenaddict.com.
Event-specific training plans, coaching guidance from Coach Rob Wilby, and supportive teammates in a private Facebook group.
Fueledbycake.com.
That's my charity cake recipe book featuring recipes from Vicky Hollands, Emma Pooley, Chrissy Wellington, Rachel Joyce, and loads more. It's only £10 and all money goes to charity.
And also a big shout out to our patrons
who support the show with a monthly donation. We're going to have a special podcast episode coming in January for all of our 2017 patrons with exclusive bits from Cam Worth, Lucy Charles, Nikki Bartlett, and more.
And more to come. And hello and welcome to the show. It's nearly Christmas, Helen. It's nearly Christmas. Are you excited?
I'm looking forward to a break from routine.
Well, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, before we get into us just chatting nonsense, today's big episode, big news is we've got an interview with Lucy Charles, second place at Kona. We followed her and her progress all the way from when she was a little itty bitty baby Ironman back at Ironman UK, haven't we? And now look at her. Our little girl's all grown up. So we've got a brilliant interview with her. She's really candid, so stick around for that later on. And yeah, there's no results today, so we're just going to have a bit of a chat, aren't we, and talk about a few of the things we've seen before we run our interview.
Correct. And I have heard the interview with Lucy, and it's great. I love it.
It's a stonker. She's a diamond.
Yeah, Lucy's secret nutrition plan.
Yeah, it's gonna interest a few people. There's a sponsorship there, I tell you.
I think
Let's talk
so.
about that after we've run the interview, though. But there's a definite sponsorship.
Absolutely. No, it's brilliant to get Lucy on to hear about her year and obviously that race in Kona as well. So yeah, it is a good interview which will get you through a long run or a long turbo or present wrapping maybe if you're up to that this week.
Yes, get out and have a run in the fog. But be a bit more careful than me.
What happened?
Hells, I have got the best Rocky Balboa black eye that you've ever seen.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
How? Go on.
So, not been in a bar fight. You'll be pleased to hear. No, I went out for a run the other day in my own little world.
Tree?
Yep. Running down the Transpennine Trail. The trail was flooded, so I thought I'm going to jump over and sort of run along the embankment a little bit, and just didn't see this great big fat sort of inch thick pointy stick poking out.
Oh no!
So I was looking down at the ground to see where I was going to land, and I kind of who's that cartoon character, Wile E. Coyote? And he kind of runs off the cliff and stops in midair.
Yeah.
So I take 3 strides, jump, face hits this big branch, legs go from out from underneath me. Picked myself up and I was like, oh man, that hurt. And it got me, right on the eyebrow, just where that really bony bit is. It honestly could have been
dreadful.
It really could have been a centimetre to the left and I'd have been in hospital. Anyway, I carried on going and kind of, stupid idiot. And about a mile later, this guy walking his dog kind of stopped and looked at me. And I said, afternoon. And he said, are you okay, mate? And I said, yeah. And I stopped and looked in the window of a car as I was going, up onto the road by Dunham Massey. And, when boxers get cut on that little bit of bone,
and it just bleeds.
It's raining, and I honestly looked like I'd been in a bar fight. It was all blood all down my face. It's a tiny little cut, maybe 2 millimeters across, but it just spewed blood all over me. I had no idea. I looked like I'd been involved in some kind of murder.
Oh, Rob, that's not good.
It's
and is it come so
swelled
now it's
up.
come up with a massive shiner?
Massive shiner, like the point where kids in the playground are kind of clutching their mums as I take my son to school. It's awful. I'm such a klutz.
Oh no. You can't really hide it with concealer or anything, can you?
I started to put on the sunnies this morning. I thought that would just look too stupid. I might actually do it tomorrow just to cover it up a little bit. Get the Oakleys on, yeah.
So what, you're 3 days into bruising?
Yes. It was was it Sunday morning?
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, 36 hours basically.
Oh, did you put Did you put, like ice on it and stuff?
No.
Guys don't do that,
I
clearly.
really
Guys don't
should
do
have
that, do
done.
they?
I really should have done. I
Yes,
think
you
it's
really should have
a bit
done.
late in the day for that now. I'm just hoping it
Yes.
clears up for the Christmas photos, It'd be like, that was a Christmas my dad just got out of prison. Oh,
You'll just have to get some very big Father Christmas sunnies and a Father Christmas hat and a massive
Yeah,
beard, and
there
then
you go. That's the way.
yeah,
Big
or
bobble
just
hat and a
just
beard and
just pretend that you're a skier, Rob, in helmet and goggles or something on Christmas Day, and no one will be able to see anything.
will it have cleared up by then? It
I've
will
no
have,
idea.
surely. How long's a
I
black
don't
eye
know.
take to go?
I don't know. But honestly, get some goggles at the ready just in case.
I think that might scare the little man even more than Daddy with a black eye. How are you? How are you getting on?
Yeah, good. We're up to 15 minutes pain-free running, Rob.
I was going to say, Helen's running updates. That's good news.
Yep. 15 minutes pain-free, and yeah, all is well.
Oh, glad to hear it.
All is well. I had a little. I was working yesterday, Rob.
Oh, we don't like working at the weekend, do we?
No, we don't.
I thought
It
you
was that little
escaped that
thing
now.
called. Oh, well, it was a bit of a one-off. It was the sports personality of the year.
Oh, of course it was, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was an experience.
Is there stuff you can tell me off air?
Probably off air. Yeah. I don't nothing amazing, but
Hell,
yeah,
maybe we should do a patron special, an off-air special, with you and me telling each other the bits we can't say on air.
No, it's not.
No.
No, not for public consumption.
Confidential and all that.
Yep.
Oh, good. A bit of gossip later. Looking forward to
Oh
it.
no goss really, no. But yeah, there you go. So that was all fun, and yeah, a few more work days, and then it's Crimbo, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna have a few days in the lakes over Christmas.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice. Good for
bit
you,
of a-
mate.
just a nice break from routine.
Yeah, you too, right. I'm going to Fuerte for 5 days. I got a last-minute deal. Yeah, last-minute flight.
Oh,
Yeah, bit of winter sun.
that's good. So when do you go? Between
Between
Christmas and New Year?
Yeah, between Christmas and New Year.
Happy days.
Yeah, a bit of yoga and cycling.
Oh,
Bit of retreat
love it.
time. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great way to kick in the new year, isn't it?
Yeah, you said it. I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, God, right. I wonder what everyone else's plans are.
Tell us on Twitter, everyone. Get on Twitter and tell us what we had a little bit of inspiration over the last couple of weeks from people who got into the idea of swimming loads, didn't we? After we talked about that.
Yes. Yep.
Like
Yep.
that. I like it when people hear something
Swimming a
and go,
day.
yeah, swim a day.
I thought when you had mentioned that, and then obviously the following week I signed up for the Bantham Swoosh, which is this 6 kilometre swim. I thought, it would probably be quite a good idea to swim a bit more.
Yeah, maybe do some swimming.
Yeah. No, I am doing some swimming, but maybe just, increase. I thought that'd be a great thing to do in January. See if I can go every day.
It's a good idea, actually. It's a
Good idea.
Yeah, it is. The only challenge I found with it, I tried it in January, and it's like you go out all fired up, and then you spend 20 of your 30 swimming minutes de-icing the car.
Oh yeah.
That's the big challenge with it. If you do it in March, it's a bit closer to your event as well, but you also don't really have that. And it sounds like that's a bit of a soft thing to say, but I just remember it being an absolute pain in the backside in January to defrost the car early every morning.
Oh. Plus, it's always impossible to find. It's very difficult to find a pool that's open on New Year's Day.
Yes, true.
Not impossible, but difficult. Anyway, watch this space. I might up my swimming in January. I might not. I'll just see how I feel. That's what's happening at the moment. See how I feel. Anyway, Rob, shall we crack on with some news sponsored by PrecisionHydration.com?
PrecisionHydration.com. Let's do it right, everyone. You have got until midnight on Christmas Eve to take advantage of the code OxygenAddict20. They've bumped the discount code up to 20% off all of their products. So get on there, stack yourselves full of personalized hydration salts. Go online and take their online sweat test first if you haven't done so already, and then get yourself a shed load of it to get yourself through the January and February turbo sessions, because nobody needs the calves to lock up in the middle of the night when you go to sleep after a turbo session, do they, Hells?
Not at all. No. So yeah, that's a really cool kind of Christmas present from our friends at precisionhydration.com. So make the most of it. Oxygen Addict 20 at the checkout for 20% off until midnight on Christmas Eve.
Super duper. Now then, as we said, we haven't got any results this week because it doesn't look like there's been any races anywhere in the world. So a little bit of news that we have seen, starting with Team BMC Team BMC / Vifit Sport announcing their pro triathlon team for 2018.
Yep, so 8 athletes are confirmed, 7 nations represented with 1 new face. And Rob, so they've said goodbye to Amelia Watkinson, and they've also said au revoir to Romain Guillaume. So he will not be in the team.
Shame that. I like him. He's got a lot of personality. And he did well somewhere recently, didn't he? Where did he just...
He did, and Bob de Wolf, Brazil's earlier in the year, but Bob de Wolf said, Romain has been in the team for 4 seasons and has played an instrumental part in what we've been able to achieve over those 4 years. Both Amelia and Romain have been fantastic to work with, and we are very grateful for what they have done for the team. Robbie, it wasn't Ironman Brazil, is what I was saying.
Yeah.
As in full distance, wasn't that one? So there is a new name to the team, and that's Chris Leiferman of the US, who won Ironman Mont Tremblant in 2016 and a couple of 70.3s in 2017. So the team is Bart Aronnaud, Liz Blatchford, Will Clark, who signed on again, which is awesome for him, Maurice Clavel, Patrick Nielsen, Emma Pallant, who has said that she is going to be targeting Ironman next year, and Ronnie Schildknecht.
He's still going strong, isn't he, Ronnie?
Yeah.
11-time winner of Ironman Switzerland. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
So their aim is to get a medal at Hawaii, it says.
Yeah.
I bet they're a bit gutted to let David McNamee go the year before he came good, right?
Yeah.
Who do you fancy from there? If you were going to pick one of them to medal at Kona.
I would go
There's a lot of talent on that team, actually, to be fair, isn't there? There's a lot of talent.
I'd go with Patrick Nielsen.
Yeah.
And Liz Blatchford for next year.
Yeah.
If that's who they're if that's where they're...
Yeah. And Bart Aeronauts as well is always an outside. I think if he gets it right on the day at Kona, he's proved he can run really, really well in the heat. So I think if he got it right at Kona, he's got the potential as well.
Yeah, and I reckon Emma Pallant has very much got potential to get on that podium at Kona.
Yeah, because she's improved her swim a lot, hasn't she?
Yep. So yeah, I think she has a lot of potential.
Do you think she's good enough to be main pack at Kona now?
In the swim?
Yeah. Obviously, I think it's funny in the women's, isn't it? Because now you've got Lucy Charles and Lauren Brandon. It's not really a front pack; it's those two off the front, and then
the main pack.
Yeah, do you think she made the main pack?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's done well, really, when you think where she's come from. Hey,
amazingly well. Seriously, amazingly well. So yeah, I think Emma Pallant is definitely a big one to watch for next year at going long.
Yeah, Helen's tip for the year is out already.
Well, there we go. Rob, other news is that you might have joined in fact, that the person who we interviewed this week, or who you interviewed for this week, Lucy Charles, did a sort of train with Lucy Charles on Zwift last week, which seemed to go down an absolute storm. So the next one is going to be this week. If you're listening to this, it's Wednesday the 20th, 7 p.m. UK time, which will be brought to you by Joe Skipper.
And it looks like it's a fairly tasty session as well, from what he's posted up. So take a deep breath and bring your big girl pants with you for training on that one. I think that looks like a fairly meaty session to me.
That looks very hard.
It doesn't have the durations in, does it? But there's 2 jugs of FTP.
Yeah.
What would that be, like 4x2 or 4x3 minutes at VO2 watts in the middle, maybe?
Yeah, looks like it, doesn't it?
Yowzers.
Nice.
Quick Christmas present from Joe Skipper for everyone.
I'll tell you one thing. If you are doing some of your own sort of turbo sessions, then do check out Wattbike and Lucy Gossage's Torture Tuesday sessions. They're really good. So they are posted, and they are Torture Tuesday, and they definitely get you working. So just as a bit of a different inspiration, because sometimes you might be doing your own session, you might not have anything structured or set. And you could perhaps use one of those and go in the hurt locker for a little bit.
Yeah, well, definitely, there's our top tip. Definitely have something written down that you're going to do before you get started. Because if you just get on and think, I'm just going to ride,
no,
not going to happen. Yeah, be specific about what you're going to do. And that's pretty much all the news for this week, isn't it?
I think it is. There's one other thing which we'll bring to you after the interview, because I think I might have found my dream race, Rob.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll tell us after the interview, hey? Yeah, that'll be a good one. Right, so Coach's Couch this week, sponsored by Team Oxygen Addict. You can get yourself a 2-week sample training plan for just £1. Email me at help@oxygenaddict.com if you're interested in a couple of weeks of structured training to get your new year kick-started. We can hook you up with that through Training Peaks, and you can have a little sample of what it's like training with Team Oxygen Addict. So we've had a question through from Liz on Twitter, haven't we?
Yep, Liz got in touch to ask, how do you know if you're ready to move up from Olympic to 70.3? My swim is weakest, my run strongest, and I'm worried about nutrition during the race.
Well, I think Liz is in a good position really there, isn't she, to step up to 70.3, because if you are going to have one of the three be weakest moving from Olympic to 70.3, I think most people would agree that the swim's the one that's going to affect your change of distance the least, because it's probably only going to be an extra 6 to 10 minutes worth of swimming in the water, depending on how fast you are at swimming. If you're not so strong, it's probably going to be closer to 10 minutes, I guess. But obviously, if you enjoy biking and running, you've got all the extra time to overtake people on the bike and the run. I used to love 70.3 distance because you had so much time on the bike to make up on stuff if you weren't a very strong swimmer to start with, you know. So I think the thing to work out really, Liz, is have you got the extra time that you're going to need to do the bike and run training? And if you've got that time, then you're ready to step up if you want to. Don't be intimidated by the distance, especially not just if the fact that swimming is your weakest one, because your swim training doesn't really need to change very much at all from your Olympic distance swim training, because probably you'll be going along to a club session and swimming for an hour's worth of swimming in the session. That's more than enough training to cover, to prepare you to cover a 1900 meter swim in the majority of cases. I think the key is, do you enjoy riding your bike for the 2.5 to 3.5, 4 hours it's going to take you on the bike? And you've already said you're a strong runner, so that's not going to be a challenge for you. I think if you want to step up, go for it. Structure your training sensibly and increase your distances, progressively over time, and don't do massive jumps. But otherwise, no reason not to leap right in, I reckon.
And I reckon if you're already thinking about it, which you clearly are because you're asking the question, then there's obviously a bit that is interested and wants to do it, which I think is half the battle.
Yeah, totally. And I think the question is, do you want to? And if you want to, do it. There are people who go, I want to do an Ironman and I'm going to do it as my first event. And I don't think that's the wisest way to do it, but you've got to tip your hat to people who just go, I'm going to go and do it and set their sights high. So yeah, I think the answer, Liz, is yes, you're ready. Let's get you in there. Now, in terms of nutrition, that was the other part of the question. I'm worried about nutrition during the race. Well, a couple of things I wrote down. The first thing is, nutrition doesn't have to be complicated. As long as you take in roughly 200, 250 calories per hour as a mix of sports drinks, gels and solids during the event, you're going to take on the energy that you need. That's probably all the energy you can actually absorb while you're exercising at race intensity anyway. It's no more or less than what you're probably going to do in a long training ride anyway. And in a race, it's actually easy because they've got tables with stuff on for you every 10 or 20 kilometers on the bike. So you don't have to worry about carrying very much stuff even, as long as the stuff that they've got on the course is something that you've tried and suits you. So in terms of nutrition, just practice in training, taking in that amount of calories. And on race day, you're going to have like a moving buffet on the bike and the run. And you're going to be able to just collect bits and bobs as you go along. And as long as you're practiced, you're going to be golden. So, Liz, we want to hear in the first episode in January that you've entered a 70.3 and tell us what it is, please.
And Liz, the other thing that I would say is, really don't worry too much about that. Don't worry too much about the nutrition in terms of like you will be fine. And also my other tip would be that make sure you've practiced not only so your body can take on the calories, but also that you're used to bike handling. So you can physically, grab the bottles if you need to grab the bottles. Have a practice. It's not a bad thing at all to just practice on a road, get someone to stand there holding bottles, that kind of thing, just so then you're confident enough to take an empty bottle out, throw it on the ground and pick up another one, or throw it in throw it in a, what are they called, Rob? The plate. Yeah. No, I was going to say the area where you can actually dump a bottle, because sometimes they have.
Yeah, they've got space to chuck them in, haven't they?
Correct.
You make a very good point there, Hells. It says, I'm worried about nutrition. And it might be a case of that. It might be, we often see beginners at the club, don't we, who are nervous taking a bottle out of the cage as they're riding along and things like that.
Genuinely, I couldn't. The first 70.3 I did, I was so scared to take a bottle out and to pick one up that I just don't really think I did. And that then meant that I didn't have anything in me and the run was awful. But then I practiced that and it's absolutely fine. So yeah, do practice that kind of thing. Practice, can you...
It doesn't take very long at all, does it? In terms of practicing,
it really doesn't.
Doing that to go along. No. And also, the thing about getting food out of your back pocket. I remember as a kid going on my first club run and being too scared to put my hand in the back pocket of the jersey, riding in close proximity with all these grown-ups. So it might be that that's part of it. And if that's the case, Liz, you just sequester one of your family members and make him stand at the side of the road.
Yep.
Handing your stuff.
Stuff out.
On a quiet stretch of road, obviously.
Correct. And then see, really simple things, Can you rip open a gel when you're moving on the bike? Can you rip open a chocolate bar? If you can't, make sure that before your race it's ripped open, and then there's no problem about actually physically taking on that nutrition. So yeah, overall, Liz, you'll be absolutely fine. Hit the enter button and there'll be loads of support for you on the way.
Woohoo! She's in. She's as good as entered.
Excellent.
I love it. Well done, Liz. We know what you're asking for Christmas now. Seriously though, Liz, if you go for it, let us know. Let us know on Twitter or Facebook. We are at OA Try Podcast on Twitter, and we are at OA Podcast on Facebook. So we'd love to hear about your journey. All right, interview of the week time, I think, Hells.
I think it is. That was a really nice sniff there, Rob.
I do apologise. I'm trying not to cough too hard down there. You only get something stuck in your throat.
Yeah. You could. Oh yeah, you can't turn your mic off, can you? We had that chat last week. Anyway, let's move on. Interview, Lucy Charles. Let's hear it. I'm excited about this one, Rob.
Here we go. Lucy Charles, second at Kona. So we're really happy to have Lucy Charles, second place at the Ironman World Championships in Kona, back on the show. Lucy, first up, congratulations from both Helen and I and all the listeners. We were absolutely delighted to see your performance. And I guess the first question is, have you taken it all in yet?
Oh, thanks so much for having me on the show. Yeah, it's great to be back. Have I taken it all in? I don't really know, actually. It's kind of a bit weird. Like, I've watched parts back of the race. I haven't watched the whole thing back yet. And even when I watch it, I'm all kind of in disbelief that that's actually me on the screen doing that. So I think it's slowly starting to sink in, but it's still almost a little bit surreal.
Well, it's been an incredible year for you, hasn't it, really? Because I was looking back and doing the maths and going, hang on, was it just last year that Lucy was injured and couldn't compete and couldn't run? And I was like, surely it was longer ago than that, but it wasn't it? It was 2015 that you won your age group at Ironman UK and then won the amateur world champs out in Kona.
Yeah.
2016 you had that stress fracture in your leg, and then you basically come into 2017, you won Lanzarote, and we had you on the show then. And then what an amazing year and progression you've had to get to the point where first pro race in Kona, and I mean you didn't just finish second, but you were the dominant female athlete of that race for like the entire swim and probably 160 kilometers of the bike leg, 170 kilometers of the bike leg.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a lot further on the bike that I lived for than I expected. So, I mean, yeah, the whole year's been crazy, really. I mean, I would say that the stress fracture last year was almost like fire in my belly, really. I didn't get to show the world what I was capable of, and I really wanted to put something out there this year. And yeah, I couldn't have expected to have done what I've done, though. It's been really crazy.
Well, listen, I want to come back and ask about the races between Lanzarote and Kona later on, but I want to know, and I'm sure everybody else does, just firstly about the whole Kona experience, being over there as a pro. You're hardly under the radar with your results at Lanzarote and Frankfurt, but I still don't think anybody expected you to turn out the kind of performance that you did on the day. And lots of people were tipping you for being first out of the water. But that bike performance was I was sitting there. I'm just really sad. I sat and watched the whole thing till like 2 in the morning, and I was sitting there texting Helen and going, 10k, Lucy's in the front still. 20k, she's still there. She's still there, and it was just it's almost like this amazing metamorphosis has happened in your cycling over the past year, really.
Yeah, I mean, the bike is definitely the area where I've worked on the most, and it is the biggest section of an Ironman. So if you can really nail that part, then you've got such an advantage. So that was kind of the goal, was to really go away and work on that section and just try and get as strong as possible. And I think Kona was the race where that really started to show, and it's really good to see. And I still know that I can improve that quite a bit more, but it's really good to see that kind of the swimming engine that I've always had is starting to come out on the bike now, which is really exciting. And like, I'm really pleased that's starting to happen. So yeah, that was brilliant.
It's like 3 or 4 years of hard work on the bike is finally shown up with like a world-class bike split. I'll tell you what, in the research for this interview, I was having a nosy on some of the things that have been written about you, and there's a great article on The Guardian, and in the third paragraph it says, what makes Charles's story so extraordinary is that until 2014, she'd never ridden a racing bike. And you look at that in context and go, that's mental, isn't it? That you go from never having ridden a road bike to putting out one of the best splits in the day at Kona.
Yeah, I'd never ridden a road bike. I mean, I was quite lucky as a child because my parents were always keen to get both me and my sister really active. So we'd both have mountain bikes and we'd do a bit of that. And I think that's probably helped, that it wasn't like from absolutely no bike riding at all to getting on a racing bike. But it's still quite a big difference from mountain bike to road biking and then finally getting a tri bike. So yeah, the progression has been pretty mad, but I don't know, I'm someone that likes to throw myself in at the deep end and really get on with things. So I think that's probably showing a little bit.
Yeah, well, you've never been afraid of hard work in either the pool, the bike, or the run. So, so it's good that now your body's healthy again. That fitness is coming through. So we're sitting and we're watching with the female pro start. The gun goes, and 2 swimmers shoot out in front, and it was hard to tell from the coverage. Even the commentators were confused whether it was you or was it Lauren Brandon you were swimming with?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Of who it was taking the lead. So talk us through the swim from your point of view. How did that all play out?
Yeah, I mean, even in the build up to the swim, it was quite funny because anyone from kind of Europe and our side of the world was saying that I would be first out the swim, and then anyone from America was saying no way, Lauren Brandon will be first out the swim. So there was already kind of this hype building around me and Lauren and the competitiveness that would be in the swim. So it was quite
she's from
funny.
A very similar swim background to you. I didn't realise that, but she was a very top end swimmer before she became a triathlete as well.
Yeah, I mean, even before the race, Reese and I had looked at some of her swim times and they were almost identical to mine. So if you kind of looked at our history, we were extremely similar. So I knew it was going to be a great race in the water before we'd even got on the bike. So, yeah, that was great. That built quite a lot of excitement. And I although I didn't speak to Lauren before, it was almost as though we'd kind of got that mutual respect for each other. And we knew we were going to be swimming together, and we wanted to almost make that work in our advantage and get as big a gap as possible on the other girls. So yeah, the swim, it went to a really good start. So I actually led out to about the halfway point where the boat is, where you turn round. And then on the way back, Lauren put in a little bit of a dig. So she actually then went into the lead. So this actually kind of worked in my favour because it meant I could just sit on her feet almost the whole way back. And then we got to the pier. So when you get to the pier, you've probably got sort of 200 metres left to go. So
yeah. And it was on.
it was definitely on for the swim bragging rights. So yeah, I put in a little bit of a sprint there, and I expected Lauren to go with me, but it kind of it almost, when I've watched it back, and it looked really scrappy, but from my kind of memory, it wasn't scrappy at all. Like we had space, and the more scrappy part was when we got sort of to the pro men that were just exiting the water. So that was when it got a bit scrappy, because I was trying to get past the men to get out and get first out the water. So yeah, I did manage to get the first out the water. I think there was probably about 6 seconds in it in the end, so it was pretty close.
It was a solid. Do you know? Because I was watching it and hadn't seen the bit where Lauren had gone in front of you, and so I thought she'd sat on your feet the whole way and then sprinted around you at the end. And then when I saw it was you, I thought, how's she done that? That's an amazing trick.
No, yeah, I mean, even the commentators had got it wrong at first. So as I was running through transition, they were saying Lauren was first out of the water, and I was like, hang on a minute, no, she wasn't. And then they corrected it as we were getting on our bike. So yeah, that was quite funny.
And you've alluded there, you caught that pack of pro men as you got out of the water. And what I wasn't sure was, I was trying to do the maths. Was that the second male pro pack that had like Lionel Sanders and Seb Kienle in it?
Yeah, I think it was, because I think I could hear them announcing them going out onto their bike as I was sort of running through transition. So yeah, that was that pack of pro men.
Yeah, so that was amazing. Firstly, from watching it and seeing how much faster the two of you were going than those guys, and they were already world-class swimmers. But the fact that it was literally within about 50 metres of the finish that there was about 10 of them spread out wide, and you were kind of dodging through, and you're thinking, oh, that's not what you need when you're going for the sprint finish, is it?
No, it's not really ideal. And I think like I was only 5 seconds away from breaking the swim record, which I don't think I would have gone any quicker if them pro men hadn't have been there anyway. But yeah, definitely that's making me hungry to go back next year and try and break that swim course record.
It'd be nice to have your name on that, wouldn't it?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So, all right, you'd kind of at this point, I'm guessing things have gone to plan. You and Lauren are out the water. You've managed to out sprint her. Happy days, and you're out onto the bike. Did you have a plan at that point for, I'm gonna ride at this kind of power, and I'm just gonna do my own thing, and I reasonably expect to get caught by one or more of the following people by a certain point? What was going through your head then?
Yeah, so the main thing was to try and stick to the plan that I put in place, which was to not go crazy at the start, because obviously you've got a pretty long day out there, so you don't want to go mad. So it was the case of trying to stick to the numbers I'd done in training and what I planned to do in training, which when I looked down at my Garmin the first time, that plan had gone out the window, because I'd obviously got really excited that I was leading out the World Championships. So yeah, I was trying to tell myself to just rein it in, but I felt good. So I just decided, you know what, let's go with it. And then once we get through the town and out into the Queen K, then you can settle down, because you kind of got out of the bit where anyone can see you, and then you're up the road and then settle down a bit. So that was kind of what I did in the end. I went sort of harder than I should have done. And definitely, if you've been out to Kona, there's a hill called Palani, which is the last sort of climb before you get out onto the Queen K. And when I looked at my power and my heart rate on that, I was just laughing, because I was like, what on earth are you doing? And then I did settle down once I got onto the Queen K. And I think it wasn't until we were sort of a fair distance onto the Queen K, you start to get time splits given to you. So there's a motorbike that comes along, and it tells you the gap between the other girls. So we got the first sort of time split that we were about 5 minutes ahead. So that was a really nice confidence boost to see that. And I think that kind of pushed me on quite a lot more, because I was like, oh my God, like you're quite a lot further ahead than you thought. So let's just see what happens. So yeah, that definitely was a good start to the bike.
And so as you're rolling along and you're doing the maths, you think, right, I've got 5 minutes to the group that's got, at this point we had let's see, Daniela Reef's going to be in the group.
Yeah.
Who else are we thinking there's going to be Uber bikers that are in there? Leander Cave was there. Rachel Joyce is in the group. So we've got some serious bike firepower there, haven't we? What were you thinking in terms of how long is it going to... Were you thinking how long is it going to be before they catch me? Or were you thinking I'm going to power along a bit and try and maintain a bit of a lead out here?
So, I mean, in training, I'd kind of anticipated to be caught maybe before the climb, so before Harvey, which is still quite a fair distance into the ride, but I had anticipated that I'd probably be caught by that point. So
probably 70k, isn't it, or something?
Yeah, it was a case of just at this point, let's stick with your game plan, stick with the numbers you've got, because at the end of the day, there's going to be a pretty tough run to do after you've done the bike. So it was a case of just now we need to settle down and see what happens and get the nutrition on board. And of course, it's extremely hot in Hawaii, so you want to make sure that you're getting everything in that you've got planned to get in, so that you don't kind of lose that energy and really die off at the end of the bike.
Well, interestingly, talking about nutrition, share with us a little bit about what do you personally use? And I know it's individual for everybody, but sort of how many calories, how does it break down? How often do you take it?
So normally I will my nutrition I take is every 15 minutes just to make sure I'm getting something on board. So normally for the first sort of 2 to 3 hours on the bike, I'll be trying to have solid. So I actually normally use Snickers bars, which quite a lot of people laugh at, but I like the taste of them. They've kind of got everything you need in them, and I think the main thing is you've got to have something you like, because if there's something in your nutrition bag that you're just like, I really don't want that, then it's not ideal, because you're just not going to take it on board, especially when you're getting hours into the bike and you're thinking, I really don't want another piece of that or another bit of that drink. So yeah, the main thing I think is as long as you like what you've got on board and it has got what you need in it, then that's the key thing, and it's not going to upset your stomach. So I've tried and tested Snickers bars in training whilst out in Lanzarote, and I haven't got sick of them yet, which is another thing, because when I first did my first Ironman, the nutrition I used on that, I can't even taste it now because it would just make me feel sick. So normally I have to kind of rotate through different nutritions that I use in training and in racing, just to make sure that I'm not actually getting sick of it, because then I'll get to the point where I can't even take it on board anymore. So yeah, that's kind of the main thing, is taking on the solids for the first sort of 2 to 3 hours, just to make sure that the gels and things are actually getting absorbed and soaked into that, so you haven't really got a bad stomach when you get onto the run, which I've experienced sort of in my earlier Ironmans, but touch wood, so I think my stomach's got a lot more tolerable of the things that I'm taking on board. So yeah, okay. That's kind of, it's working for me at the moment.
And let's unpack that a little bit. How do you carry Snickers bars when you're riding? Like where do they go? And do they not melt when it's 40 degrees out in Kona? I'm sorry to be such a geek about this, but I'm thinking, well, on the one hand, that's awesome because everywhere in the world sells Snickers bars. It's no drama to find them, but it's surely not that practical, is it, in the heat of Kona or Lanzarote?
So normally what I do is the day before the race, I'll put them in the freezer, so they're actually slightly more frozen and harder, and then I'll cut them into smaller pieces and have them like on a little saddle bag or like a little bento box on my bike, and then they do slowly start to melt, but they actually stay frozen for a little bit longer than I anticipate, but then it ends up kind of being a bit of a gooey mess, but you just take a bit and eat it, and it's easier to eat that way. So and it still tastes good. So.
Never buy a used bento box from Lucy Charles. That's the thing we'll take away from this one. And how many Snickers bars would you get through in the ride at Kona then?
So I've normally got about 3 bars in there that are broken into about sort of 3 pieces. So there's like 9 pieces to get through, and I'll normally have one of those sort of every 30 minutes. So yeah, that kind of gets me through the first sort of 2 to 3 hours.
And then what do you take after that?
So from then on, I kind of just go completely to gels. I'll normally kind of dilute them down a little bit and make a gel mix, so that I'm just getting that through nice and easily, and it's watered down, so it's not going to be too thick and have too much sugar in one hit. So Yeah, quite simple, really.
Yeah, okay. And have you got a feel for how many calories you'd be taking in an hour?
It's probably, I'm not really sure actually. I think it's just I've gone with that's worked for me in training with that amount that I'm eating, and that works. So it's kind of, yeah, not massively scientific. I think,
But
well,
it's
Reece
tried and
probably has
tested,
worked out for me in that way. He would probably know exactly the amount I'm taking, but he'd make it a lot simpler for me. So just say, just eat that, drink that, and that's enough. So yeah, he would probably know the exact numbers on that.
There you go. Do as you're told.
Do as I'm told, definitely.
All right, so we're out there. You're at the base of the climb to Harvey. From what I saw, and I might be incorrect here, it doesn't look like Lauren really took any turns on the front. Now, was that literally the case? Did she just ride 15 metres behind you the whole way?
Yeah. I never
She never
saw
came to the
Lauren
front
in
at
front.
all.
So, I mean, yeah, a lot of people kind of said about that, and I spoke to Lauren after the race, and she sort of said, you know what, I was just clinging on. There's no way I could have gone in front. I was just trying to stay in that legal distance and stay behind you. And to be honest, like, because it's someone behind you, and it's not really like when you're running and they're breathing down your neck. You don't really even know they're there. So to be honest, it didn't even bother me in the slightest. I was out in front. I was happy to be there. I was just doing my own thing. So yeah, it didn't really bother me at all that she was there.
Yeah, okay, cool. And you're climbing up to Harvey, still haven't been caught. At what point did you get a sense that not only was this gap not closing, but you were actually riding away from everybody?
Yeah, so we obviously were getting these time splits. I think it was the second time split we got, we'd increased the gap to about 6.5 minutes. So by that point, I was thinking, oh, right, this wasn't what I thought was going to be happening. So again, I think that gave me another injection of confidence. And yeah, we were obviously growing this gap, especially when we got to the turn in Harvey, and then you're coming back down the climb and you can see them coming up the climb, and it really did seem like quite a big gap. So I mean, that was absolutely brilliant, and I was kind of like, well, just keep doing what you're doing because it's obviously working. And yeah, it was really, really good to see how big that gap was.
And how far did it blow out to at the biggest point? What was the biggest number you saw?
I think about 6.5 minutes was about the biggest gap, but it never really seemed to be closing or not for a while. So yeah, it was a fairly decent amount of time.
It just gives you massive confidence, doesn't it, that you're riding along.
Definitely.
And it sounds like you managed to do a really good job of, because I laughed when you said I looked down at my power meter, and like everybody who's bought one does this, the start of the race, you tell yourself you're going to be totally zen, you're going to follow the numbers. You go up the first hill and you look down and you go, I've never seen numbers as high as this on the power meter before. Sorry, but is the power meter broken? It feels so easy. Surely, maybe I'm really fit today. It's all that stuff goes through your mind, and then
Yeah.
I think the challenge is to talk yourself down and go, all right, chill, reset, ride at whatever wattage you said you were going to. But it feels so easy at the start as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that's the problem on any Ironman, and especially if you've got your taper right, then you will start that bike and your legs haven't felt that fresh for a long time because you've done this whole block of training where you've been pretty tired. So you're looking down and you are questioning, is the power meter working? What's going on here? And it's kind of trusting in, yep, your taper's worked, your legs are good, but you still got to ride 180k. So really you should be just trying to rein it in a little bit so you've got something left at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a nice feeling. It's a bit of a weird feeling, but it's a nice feeling.
So, with about 25k's to go, I'm not suddenly thinking, but there's been this growing realisation, if things had gone to plan, Daniela Ryf would have mowed through the field and she'd have zoomed off into the distance. So either one of three things has happened. She's having a really bad day, you're having an amazing day, or a combination of the two. And at that point, I was starting to think, do you know what? If Daniela Ryf hasn't made a move at this point, she's probably not going to, which probably means she's not feeling so good. Lucy's obviously feeling fantastic. This is all to play for. You could be getting off the bike in the lead of the World Championships here. And just as I'm thinking this, it's like Daniela Ryf comes by on a moped. So it was astonishing how much time she made up over, and it doesn't look like that your splits dropped off very much. It was more that she incredibly picked up the pace over that last sort of 20, 25, 30k, didn't she?
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely incredible, really. I mean, I've looked over my data and I was watching my Garmin the whole time, and my power wasn't dropping off. I was holding that effort on the way back. So, yeah, I mean, from what I've heard and from what she said after the race, there was that point on the bike where she was like, it's now or never, and I'm going to put all in, because if I don't do it now, then she wasn't going to do it. So, I mean, how she managed to pull that out that far into the bike, I mean, hats off. I mean, that must have been some incredible effort to come past and to close that gap. So, yeah, I mean, that was insane to see. And even when she passed, it was kind of like, the whole time I'd been expecting her to come past, so it didn't really faze me at all. It was a shame because it was so late into the bike that I had 100% not expected to lead off the bike, and if I'd done that, that would have been another massive lift to start the run. But even to come off the bike where I did was far better than I'd expected. So yeah, it was all really, really exciting.
Yeah, and then so we get to the end of the bike ride. You were back into town. There's all the excitement and there's the crowds. How did you feel getting off the bike? Where were you at relative to how you hoped you would feel?
Yeah, I mean, I felt really good. I mean, running through the transition, you're questioning if your legs are still there. I think that's kind of normal to anyone getting off 180 k's on the bike, but the atmosphere is unreal when you leave that transition area and you're running out onto the course. The lift you get from that is just crazy, and it's a little bit like, again, you look at your Garmin and you're thinking, okay, this pace is a bit quick, and yeah, you kind of, again, trying to tell yourself to rein it in, but then again, you know that there's going to be an out and back section on the first part of the run, so if you can make that gap look bigger, or as big as possible, before you lap back on the next lady, then again, it's going to be an advantage. So it's kind of, yeah, you're like, do I go with this pace or do I try and rein it in? And I felt like I was trying to rein it in, but the pace was still a lot better than I'd expected. So it was another case of, okay, we'll go with this and we'll see what happens.
So it really was a case of having magic legs on the day, the ideal race day scenario that hardly anybody ever gets to experience. What point did it get really hard, right? Because it always does. Everyone I've seen or interviewed or spoken to, and that's what's really lovely about Ironman racing, is nobody lies and goes, oh, it was dead easy actually, it was just like a nice friendly jog. What point did it get really hard for you in the marathon, and tell us how that felt?
I mean, for anyone that's been out to Kona, the first half of the marathon is really quite nice because there's tons of people, the atmosphere is amazing, and you're just being lifted the whole time. And then you have to run up Palani, and then you're onto the Queen K, and there are people on the Queen K, but it's nothing like when you're in town. So the aid stations, the volunteers are absolutely amazing. So every mile you do get a lift from that, but there are some really, really dark spots out on that Queen K where there's no one there. You're running, it's just you, and you're inside your own head, and you're questioning every minute, am I going to be able to do this? Even at that point, I was in second, and I wasn't entirely sure what the gap was behind, and I didn't dare look over my shoulder because I wasn't sure. I mean, I knew I had some really strong runners behind me, and I was looking at my pace, and I knew I was running well, but it was getting harder and harder. And then you get into the energy lab, which everyone goes on about being one of the hardest parts of the course. But it's kind of weird because I quite like that section because, again, there's a lot more people when you first go in there. So you get this lift again, and it actually goes fairly quick in there. You're running about 5 or 6 kilometres in there. So it's quite a big chunk of the run when you're out that far. And then when you come out, you know you've got 10k left to go, and that is probably the hardest bit, is coming back on that last 10k. And I was still holding second, which again I didn't know that I would be in that position when I set off. But even when you were in the energy lab, you could see all the other girls come in, and the gaps don't look that big, so you're questioning, oh my god, are they going to catch me before I get back? And it wasn't until I probably had about 1 or 2 miles left I thought I could hang in there and get that second place.
Yeah, because I suppose when you're on an out and back, a minute on the road is probably, what would that be? A minute's probably 200 meters on the road, isn't it? So
Yeah, it doesn't
so
look
on the
big
out
at
and
all.
back, it's probably half of that. So yeah, there's probably a whole bunch of girls around you. And what was going through your mind at this point then, as you're coming out of the energy lab and out of nowhere, you're still in second place? Was it just a case of I'm just going to try and hold this together for as long as I can, or it sounds like you had a lot of confidence in your own ability from the training that you'd done?
Yeah, I mean, I'd put in a huge amount of work leading into Kona. So I was out at Club La Santa in Lanzarote for 8 weeks leading into the race, which is the biggest block I've ever done away from home and training somewhere where basically everything is set up for you. You've got your food laid on. It's so easy. It just makes it incredibly easy. So whilst I was there, I hadn't really realised how much work I was putting in, because it didn't really seem too difficult to do it there, because there's no need to be doing washing or anything like that. It's just so easy. So I think I didn't realise how fit I'd got until I was out there racing, and obviously realised that everything was coming together. And when I was running back on that last 10K, I knew I had Sarah Crowley and Heather Jackson behind me, who were both having a battle between them, which I thought for myself is quite scary, because they're going to be pushing each other on, and it was either are they going to be wearing each other out, or are they going to be pushing each other on and closing that gap down on me. So it was really, really exciting, but it's probably the best I've ever felt on the run, which was really, really good to see as well.
And did you have any moments of that agonising quad pain where you're just thinking to yourself, I've just got to keep moving?
I mean, again, yeah, I thought I was really lucky on that, because when I'd raced at Ironman Frankfurt, I started to get this kind of cramp in my quads, and that was one of the things I did not want to experience in Kona. So the main thing was really making sure I was getting the electrolytes on board to stop that, and thankfully that did work. But I think I must have had probably about sort of 4 miles left on the run, and I started to get this pain in my foot, and I was just thinking, I don't care if my foot falls off, there's no way I'm stopping. So it was like any pain that I could feel, I was just trying to ignore it, and just think you've just got to get to that finish line.
All right, so describe to us then. You've managed to agonisingly run those last 2 miles downhill. With, I mean, if you could set a course up for even more agony, that would be it, wouldn't it? Let's put a long, shallow descent in, and then a steeper bit just before the finish. What was it like running down that last sort of mile, knowing that you've got second place? How was that as an experience?
That was crazy. And I mean, like you said, that downhill bit is where you're just praying that your quads don't cramp, because if it's going to happen, it's going to happen there. And it's happened years before. I've seen it happen. And yeah, so you're elated, because the atmosphere again is absolutely incredible. They're already kind of, I'm not sure if it was Paul Kay or Mike Riley, someone was already announcing that I'm running into like my second place finish, and I was thinking, well, I've still got a mile. I think anything can still happen, so kind of like let's not say it yet. But yeah, I mean, it was just so surreal, and it wasn't really until I was back on Ali Drive, and I probably had about 200 meters to go, that I really could actually enjoy it and soak it all up, which I rarely kind of managed to do that in an Ironman, because I rarely ever managed to relax enough to think you've got this position, run it in and soak it all up. And I think that was one of the best things, that I actually in Kona managed to do that, and that made it even more special.
Yeah, wow, incredible. And at the finish line, over you cross, and Chrissie Wellington's there, waiting to say hello. Did it feel like there was a kind of, I don't know, it looked to me like there was almost a changing of the guard kind of thing going on. And you won't have heard this quote yet. We had Chrissie on the show recently, and she said, and I'm quoting here from her, "To see Lucy do so well was so special. She's a young endurance athlete relatively. To have the maturity that she does, to be able to stand up to the pressure, she performed so well, and I was incredibly proud of her." So was there an element of, I'm sure you looked up to Chrissie as you were coming up through the ranks?
Yeah, I mean, wow! Even hearing that quote is absolutely amazing to hear from Chrissy. And sort of, I haven't actually been in triathlon that long, as you know, and she was instantly someone who I read about and learnt about and inspired me from day one, really. So to have her out on the course, she was actually giving me advice out on the run, which was amazing to hear. Someone like that giving you advice. So
what did she say to you?
So when I was running out on Ali Drive, she was just saying, just relax your shoulders, because I get quite tense in my shoulders. So that was a big thing. So, and then when I was running back, she was like, yeah, that's so much better. And then she said something like, try and get the ice and the cold water on your head, which I hadn't actually been doing. And that massively helped cool me down as well. So they were two massive things that she really helped with. And then, yeah, just to have her at the finish line was just, it was kind of like, almost the case of pinch me, am I actually here, am I dreaming this? It was so crazy. And I mean, I've never had that much emotion at a finish line either, so the whole thing was just incredible, really. I'll never forget it.
That's just, I was so happy for you. It's such a fairy tale. It's such a fairy tale to go, you know, you've entered into this new sport from the disappointment of not making the Olympics, and to get so good so quickly. And Helen and I talk about this quite frequently, having been stood in the little press area at the end of Ironman UK, and seeing all these like ultra competitive mid-30s male age groupers come over the line, and just like they're lying on each other like bodies on a battlefield, quite literally. And you kind of bounce across the line, all like happy and smiley. And I said to Helen, I don't know who she is, but get after her and get an interview with her. So it was clear from day one that you had the talent for it, and it's clear that you've done the hard work. So it's absolutely brilliant to see you getting the results from that. So what are your plans for 2018 then? We'll finish on this. What do you see happening for you in 2018? What's the plan?
I mean, well, the big goal obviously is getting back to Kona and trying to put in a solid race. So the whole season will probably be working towards that. I haven't decided where exactly I'll stamp the Kona ticket. It's likely that, well, I'm not really sure where. I know every race I did this year I absolutely loved, but I do not intend on racing as much as I did this year because it was a pretty packed calendar. So it will probably be a case of doing a few of the races that I did this year because I enjoyed all of those. Obviously, Reese is racing as a pro next year as well, so we want to try and make our calendars work quite well together. So that'll mean training blocks together and then leading into races. So yeah, we haven't finalised anything yet, but I imagine it will have similar races on it to this year.
Great stuff. All right, now if people want to find out more about you, if there are potential sponsors sitting here thinking, do you know what, I'll sponsor Lucy Charles and give her £1,000 a year just to put a logo on my top. How can people find out more about you and, you know, social media channels and all of that? Where can they find you?
So I'm most active on my Instagram account. So yeah, that's kind of the main place to go. I've got a website that we're slowly adding more information to, which is lucycharles.com. So, and then my Instagram feed is on there as well. So yeah, probably the easiest place to go is to my website, and then it will be getting more information added to it. Like once I've finalised my race season, that will be on there. So yeah, that's the key place to head to, really.
Great stuff. Hey, well, listen, Lucy, on behalf of both Helen and I and all our listeners, just congratulations again. It's been fantastic watching your progression through the sport, and I don't think your progression is done yet. I feel confident in saying there's another step on the podium for you in the very near future.
Well, thank you very much. It's been great talking to you.
All right, we'll catch you with you again soon. Thanks, Lucy.
Cheers. Bye.
Who knew, Hells, that the nutritional strategy of someone on the podium at Kona was frozen Snickers bars?
Yeah, I love it. I have heard that about the chocolate bar strategy before, of people who, you know, you want something to look forward to. I usually have a Snickers bar in my little on board.
In your little bento box thing?
Yep. Or in my I want to say emergency bag, but you know what I mean.
I do. Special needs.
Correct. Yeah, definitely a Snickers in that. And I think in Wales, I was just like, give me the sodding Snickers. I need that right now.
I'm seeing, instead of B.A. Baracus, I'm seeing Lucy Charles riding in a tank, biting Snickers bars and doing the Snickers adverts.
Yep. I love it.
Lucy, we want to see you with a Mohican. Like, his name's not B.A. Baracus in real life, is it? What's his name?
I have no idea. I have
Mr.
no
T.
idea.
You know what I'm talking about. The Snickers adverts has got the guy from the A-Team in.
I don't know. I know what the A-Team is, and I have seen the A-Team, but I can't think who. Sorry, Rob. Sorry.
Cultural reference and before your time, clearly.
No. A-Team was there.
Yeah, so the guy, the big hard guy in the A-Team, the one with the Mohican and the shaved head, well, he now advertises Snickers.
Nice. I've got it, yeah.
Yeah, you'll have to go on, look him on
Mr.
YouTube.
Mr. T Snickers commercial with A-Team theme. Right, I'll check it out later.
That's his name.
But that was like 2009 that he was doing that, Rob? 2007, 8, 9 with the Snickers.
How long ago?
Yes. Hence my point.
Sometimes I feel like I've been asleep in a time machine for 10 years.
Anyway, the other thing which I loved from Lucy's interview was that it was really nice hearing her reaction to what Chrissy had said to her, and also
wasn't that nice, eh?
Yeah, really like that, and the fact that she could still go. How many more minutes faster on the swim? I was like, wow.
Yeah.
A good number of minutes faster. Yeah. I'm like, jeez. So yeah, watch out, world.
Yes, it was quite touching, that bit with the quote from Chrissy, wasn't it?
Yeah, really cool. I like that.
There's a lovely photo I saw as I was trying to find a photo to use for the cover skin for the podcast of her hugging Chrissy at the finish line. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, no, it's really cool, isn't it, to be able to, have to have like a legend right there.
Well, it must be great for her to be standing there and going, do you know what? I've got Chrissy's time in front of me to shoot for. Chrissy came from a similar background to me. Can I achieve what Chrissy did? Can I get as fast as she did?
I guess that's it. When you can reset your goals, can't you, all the time?
Yeah, totally.
Safe.
Very excited to see how far she can go.
Oh, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. I think faster. So that's very exciting. Rob, I was going to say, a sort of bucket list race. If you're feeling a bit flush and you want to go for a destination race, there's going to be a massive kind of hardcore triathlon in Patagonia in Chile. I tell you, that would be spectacular. So it's called Patagonman.
Patagonman.
Yeah. So Patagonia. So Patagonman. And it's 3.8k swim, 180k bike, 42k run, obviously, point-to-point course in Patagonia in South America. So it's going to be in a fjord, 10 to 12 degrees.
Amazing.
Then, oh my goodness, love this. So the bike will be over the only 180k of the highway, which is actually a decent surface.
Oh, really?
And then the marathon is dirt trail and rubble road.
It sounds super wild, doesn't it?
Doesn't that sound mental? So yeah, you can check it out at patagonman.com.
I've got a surprise for you here, Helen.
Go on, you entered it.
I've got an email here from race organizer Ignacio of Valdivieso, and he's emailed us to tell us about it. It's just come through as we're on air. It says, the 2 times champion of Norseman, Alan Hovde, is confirmed for the event, same as the other winners of Canada Man, Alaska Man, Swiss Man, and Celt Man. The first time all these champions will race head-to-head in the same race.
Wow.
Do you fancy a trip away to Patagonia?
Claro que sí.
Podcast Christmas journey next year.
Claro. Yep, I'm there.
Oh, I'll tell you what, that'd be a big day out.
It would be a mighty day out, I tell you. Woof. Yeah, there we go. I just thought I'd highlight that one. Yeah, I don't know if I'd really be up for doing that, Rob, but I'd be up for going there and talking about it. Doing it, not too sure. It would be absolutely breathtakingly beautiful, though.
Let's see if they'll give you the gig as official race commentator. You'd be great at that.
Well, I could do it in, multilingual.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
There you go. Come on, Ignacio. Hook us up. Get us a couple of flights.
Por favor, Ignacio, vámonos, no? So, awesome. Rob, we better call it a day.
We better call it a day, yeah, absolutely. So we're getting towards the end of December. Thank you all.
Oh, another sniff.
Oh, I do apologise for that.
This is Rob's 2018. Must do. Must
trying-
stop sniffing.
I'm trying really hard not to sniff into the mic. I'm trying really hard. I'm sorry.
I'll mention it every time, and
I'll
then
get my adenoids done for 2018. How about that, Hells?
there you go. Yeah, do it.
All right, anyway, we're going to wrap it up, everyone. Listen, have a great, safe training and racing week. As always, you've been listening to the Oxygen Addict Triathlon podcast. Thanks for listening in 2018. We're going to have a couple more episodes coming your way before we roll out 2017 even. We're going to have a couple more episodes coming your way before we roll into 2018. But have a great week. Get out there, do some training as well as eat some mince pies, and we will check in again with you soon. I'm Coach Rob Wilby.
I'm Helen Murray.
And you've been listening to the Oxygen Addict Triathlon podcast. We'll see you all again soon. Cheers. See ya.